Israel is unique among all other places on planet Earth in this regard. It responds to its inhabitants' obedience and disobedience to the Creator. Hi, this is Barry Phillips of 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of the Torah portions, Bahar and Bechukotai. We continue now in Vayikra or Leviticus chapter number 25, and let's actually get beyond verse number 1. Verse number 2 says, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, then the land shall observe a Shabbat to Yahweh. 6 years you sow your field, and 6 years you prune your vineyard and gather in its fruit. But in the 7th year the land is to have a Shabbat of rest, a Shabbat to Yahweh. Do not sow your field, and do not prune your vineyard." What we're talking about here is the process of the Shemitah, or for some, the Shemitah. This process says that we are to trust Yah. That is, we are to sow and reap from our fields for 6 years. In the 7th year, we let the land rest, and we have a Shabbat year as far as the land is concerned. This does not make agricultural sense. We understand crop rotation. We understand the need of planting and sowing crops, cover crops. We understand irrigation procedures. We understand the right fertilization techniques. Man has learned quite a bit about agriculture. The more prudent, more obvious idea would be just choose 1/7 of your land to lay fallow each year. That way 6/7 of your field can be planted, and you can reap crops, and you can have a consistent income of crops and produce. Yah's not asking for common sense here. He is asking for supernatural trust. So years 1 through 6, we plant, we sow, we care for our fields, we pray for the rains to come in their season, and then we reap. In the 7th year, seeds that have somehow fallen into the ground from last year's harvest, grapes on the vine, fruit on the trees, it's free for anyone to come and take. Now, there are at least 3 things to keep in mind here. One is that the landowner is going to have to get used to the idea that it's available to everybody. He cannot choose to reap all by himself whatever grows on its own accord. It's not just his, it's the community's. Everyone is free to come. His borders are now open. If there are plants that have grown in the field and they want it, they can come get it. If they see grapes on the vine and they want them, they can come and get them. Fruit on his trees. He can't stand there and argue with them and demand that they leave his property. It's available for him. It's available for everyone. This builds a community understanding of we work together. The obvious question is, well, what are we going to eat? There won't be enough food. Yah says, and here we go with another principle, when we get over to verse number 21. "Therefore I have commanded my blessing on you in the 6th year, and it shall bring forth the crop for 3 years. You shall sow in the 8th year and eat of the old crop until the 9th year, eat of the old until its crop comes in." So they would sow in the 8th year in the fall of the year, and then when the crops began to come in the following spring, then they would begin to reap. 3 years' time here. 3 years. The 6th year crop is so enormous that it's going to feed them for 3 years. And then he says you're going to have to clean out the old crop from the 6th year to make room for the new crop. Couple factors here. One, trust. We're going to have to trust him. We don't want to hear the word trust. We want to hear Yah say, I have moved mountains. I have sent messengers with a mighty sword to deliver. I have moved heaven and earth in your behalf. The miracle is right before your eyes. Wait for it. There it is. That's what we want to hear. We don't want to endure. We don't want to persevere. We don't want to be trial. We don't want to be tested. We want to know. We want to have security. We want to have stability. The idea that every year there's a consistent crop is much, much more appealing to us. Yah says, no, trust me. In these last days, we're not always going to see what we think we ought to see. We may not fully understand all that is getting ready to take place, and even now is taking place. We may be frustrated. I thought the end results of things would be different. I thought we would be at a different place by now. I thought. Trust him. Yah is faithful. As much as he is set apart, as much as he's all powerful and all knowing, Yah is eternally faithful to his covenant people, Israel. Be encouraged in your walk today that Yah is faithful to you. Which brings us now to the third thing. The 6th year crop is so large, so abundant, so enormous that it is 3 years of food. If you don't have a large enough storage facility to hold that much, what are you going to do with it? If it's exposed to the elements, it could ruin before you have a chance to use it. So you have to enlarge your capacity for the commanded blessing. Why is it that Yah has not answered many prayers for increase? It very well could be that you do not have the capacity to handle or hold what you're asking for. If you're needing increase in health and strength and knowledge and understanding, and yes, and even in your finances, if you need a bigger home, if you need a bigger, more something, whatever it is, you have to increase your capacity to handle it. There are things that we have asked for that if Yah would have given it to us, it would have consumed us because we are not rightly equipped to handle it. It's not that he doesn't want it for us. It's not that he wouldn't want to bless us to this overabundant measure. But if we're not faithfully utilizing that which he has already entrusted into our hands, then we are demonstrating that we do not have the ability, capacity, or will to use something even greater. Demonstrate faithfulness with that which has already been placed in your hand, so that when the commanded blessing of the 6th year, however that manifests to you, those times where Yah just simply commands an overflow, an overwhelming inflow to you, so that when that happens, if you've been faithful in small things, he will make you Lord and ruler over many. Be faithful and where you're at. Demonstrate so that the commanded blessing of Yah may have a place with you. Expand your capacities. Ask the Father, how do I do this? Where are the areas that I'm too small, that I need to expand, and that I need to increase? And may Yah grant that to you today. More tomorrow. Until then, shalom.